Mindfulness at the gym. This video has the potential of serving as a reminder when it comes to doing my best to be as mindful as possible. I took down some notes to keep me on track, a little outline. I'm also experimenting with that, different ways of composing an outline that can serve as a guide when talking about anything that's on your mind. So, setting the stage, I went to the gym this morning here in my apartment complex. It's a super small gym, it's a closet. And I had already anticipated this one particular person possibly being there because of recent patterns, and they seem to like to play their music out loud for other people to hear. I hadn't said anything in the past because the situation just hadn't come up. So this morning I am at the gym by myself. It's around 6:20 or so. I maybe have about 10 minutes to go in the workout. I am working out on the leg press machine, and this person walks in as I had potentially anticipated. They start doing a little stretching routine that they typically do. They put their phone down on top of the treadmill and they start playing music. And then he starts walking toward me. I am recovering from having just done a set of leg presses. And he says hi. I responded. Neither one of us smiled. I wonder if he might be neurodivergent, since he kind of reminds me of me in some ways, kind of a different kind of cat. And right as I'm finishing saying hi in response to his hi, I look at him and I said, "Hey, do you by any chance happen to have headphones for the music?" And he looks at me and says, "No." And then I recall sitting down on the leg press machine, starting to work on my next set, and then I quickly said, "Sometimes music out loud like that can bother some people." And he says, "It's not even that loud, man." And I responded, "To some people it doesn't matter." And that was the end of it. It didn't escalate. I finished my sets on the leg press machine and I walked out of the gym. And after that, as neurodivergent people could imagine, I started replaying the incident in my head, different scenarios. What could I have said instead of what I said last? I could have been more eloquent. I could have explained myself better. Yeah, so after I got back from the gym and I replayed everything in my head and I started thinking of how I could have been more precise, and it dawned on me, why was I so bothered by the music? And admittedly, I have somewhat of a reputation at that gym for being the person who will, as kindly as I possibly can, say to people who are playing their music out loud for everyone else to hear, if they have headphones on, and if they do, would you consider wearing them so that I can exercise in silence, since the gym doesn't have any music playing out loud. And when I start thinking about why I was bothered so much, or bothered enough to make a comment, why I'm typically bothered enough to make a comment to people when they're playing their music out loud, is that I prefer silence when working out, particularly strength training. However, I do listen to some music when I'm doing the VO2 max workout that I do once a week on the air bike, and I will listen to some of the learning videos from this channel while I'm jogging on the treadmill. So I'm not foreign to the idea of listening to music while working out. And then I thought about how some people maybe perhaps myself without realizing it, consider it somewhat inconsiderate if someone is in a gym with their music for others to hear, independent of how loud the music may be. And that could be tied also to some ideas about right versus wrong, meaning the right thing to do is not to bother other people, to wear headphones while listening to your music, or if you don't have headphones, to not listen to anything. And I have spoken a little bit about right versus wrong in some of the Tao Te Ching videos on this channel. So I wonder if that was operating on me a little bit, which ties into what follows in a few moments. Who knows what else is going on? Who knows what other reasons there are for the music bothering me that I'm not even aware of, even as I record this. And some of the more important questions to ask, I thought, as I was reviewing this after it happened this morning, is that music impacting my safety at the gym? If it's not impacting my safety, then why is it a big enough deal for me to tell the person if they have headphones so I don't have to listen to any of it? And is there any other reason or argument that I can come up with that could lead me to see this as a relatively large problem, as a big deal, so to speak, and enough to address it? And I also tried putting myself in his shoes. So this person may be used to playing their music out loud all the time. No one says anything. It's not that loud. He was correct. The music was not loud. And he may be used to simply playing his music out loud. It's not loud, so he's perhaps feels like he's being respectful towards other people. No one has said anything. So I was thinking about that as well. And then I started to consider that I should perhaps change my approach when it comes to hearing music out loud while I'm working out at the gym. I'm not saying that this approach is the right one. I could certainly see other people being bothered by this enough to say something and to hold strong in their position. However, in my case, it's hard for me to defend my viewpoint after giving it more thought and thinking about it in a broader sense. I like music. I think of myself as a relatively big music fan. Love the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, U2, Biggie, Tupac. I'm a music lover. And this person actually has decent music taste, the person at the gym. I think they play some trance or techno, which I quite like. And the music wasn't very loud. It's not impacting my safety. It's not disturbing me in a big way. It simply is my preference to work out in silence. However, I am trying to be more flowy. I am trying to incorporate the lessons from the Tao into my everyday life, doing my best to be as mindful as possible. And I don't know how long this is going to last. Maybe I'm a prisoner of the moment. Maybe I'll change my mind tomorrow. But as of right now, I think I am going to change my approach to how I react when people are playing their music out loud at the gym. I think unless the music is potentially having an impact on my safety, decreasing the probability that I can remain safe, or it's very loud to where it's disturbing, unless that's the case, I plan to just let it flow and just ride with it.